It's Monday, July 6th, 2026. The show's Deep Focus. I'm your host, Mitch Goldman. Vernon Reid is my guest, and this is a Deep Focus on the topic of James Blood Ulmer, recorded in the very month after his Blood's passing at age 86. And Blood is somebody who showed us what music could do, smashing through categories and genres without a care, expressing a warmth and expression and deeply human feeling of soul, and somebody who through that was a hero, certainly for Vernon. That's what he's talking about here. This is part 2 of 3. Let's get into it. That is a live recording, as you can tell, from Saalfelden, Austria, 1990. But our attention was on the band leader, James Blood Ulmer. Let me just take a little moment to say you're listening to WKCR FM New York, WKCR-HD. Maybe you're listening to WKCR.org. Maybe you're at 89.9 FM. Indeed, where we have been for many decades. And you can also find this show this show's called Deep Focus. I'm your host, Mitch Goldman. And the Deep Focus podcast is, you could get it on your phone right now. You could subscribe. And we have over 450 episodes, including quite a number that feature our guest tonight, Vernon Reid. And Vernon's brought our attention to the beautiful James Blood Ulmer, who we lost last month. And he left behind such a wealth of recordings. Vernon and I were listening to that recording. So that was, Saalfelden is a little town in the Alps of Austria, and where they're punching so far above their weight in terms of the music they bring through and the audiences they get. And this was a quartet James Blood Ulmer had in 1990. David Murray, stalwart of his on tenor saxophone. All these guys stalwarts, really. Jamaldine Takuma on bass. Ronald Shannon Jackson playing drums. But playing some music and a style and genre, all of them, that's unlike...
It's interesting to hear this particular recording with Blood, because this is actually, I didn't know that about this, but this is kind of him more in standard tuning, and he's extremely boisterous, and really engaging with the audience, and it's very, because he can be quite enigmatic, you know what I mean, and he was really very accessible in a way, which is so, in a huge really, way, and really energetic, and it was kind of like he was playing kind of rock, like really, and he was very it's very interesting to hear David Murray in the context. It was interesting to hear Shannon in the context, and it's very, jazz the preacher, funk, jazz is the teacher, funk is the preacher. It's very much straight up blues, in that approach, and it was just interesting to hear him in this regard. So I think we're going to move into another space with him, musically, and really I think we're going to get more of the other flavor of Blood. But this was really very, very interesting. Of course, Jamaldine kills it, and it was very interesting. I think he was probably playing his solid body Steinberger guitar, because it fit a lot more sustain, and was punchy, is not as quite as thick and growly and doomy as his Birdland. But let's listen to the next iteration.
Yeah, what are we thinking?
I think we're going to do The Stone.
The Stone, yeah. Yes. You want to tell the folks a little about that, or shall I?
Yeah, you tell them.
I'll tell them. I will tell them.
It's like 1981. It's The Stone.
Yeah. This was like right around the time of freelancing, I guess, right?
Right, exactly.
And here we go. So yeah. It's Blood with
Amin Ali on bass.
And Calvin Weston on drums. That is the Freelancing Band celebrating James Blood Ulmer. Deep Focus. Vernon Reid's my guest on WKCR.
Don't you control my pleasure? Don't you control my pleasure? What you gonna do? Tell 'em, 'cause I'm always thinking of you. 'Cause I'm always. Don't you control my pleasures? Don't you control my pleasures? Cause it's a pleasure telling you what you gonna do. Tell 'em, always, tell you, tell 'em always, tell 'em always, tell 'em always. Thank you. Could we get the guitar in the monitor? Can you hear everyone clearly? I need to see if I can get the guitar in the monitor right here.
We are in San Francisco with James Blood Ulmer at the Stone, 1981, the Freelancing Band.
Sure. Can you hear everyone clearly? I need to see if I can get the guitar in the monitor right here. Thank you. And if you don't know my name, call me James Blood. And we're going to try to continue on. That was Night Lover. Now we will do Rush Hour. Rush hour. Rush hour. James is the teacher. Funk is the preacher. Look for me. James is the teacher. Funk is the preacher. Look for me. Teacher, funk to the preacher, yes, is the teacher, funk to the preacher, yellow for me. Ooh, you love me so well, you see, I think you need. funk to the preacher. We need a little more bass in the monitor. is the preacher in San Francisco.
Yes, you are in San Francisco at the Stone, and you are hearing James Blood Ulmer live recording, and this is what we do. The show's called Deep Focus. I'm your host, Mitch Goldman. Our guest, Vernon Reid.
Hey there.
Bringing our minds to James Blood Ulmer, who we lost last month, June.
Yeah, man. Huge loss for the world of music. And that was very different. You know, just the very different. His attack is very different. His tuning is very different. But also really jaunty. You know what I mean? Really jaunty, very, you know, he just, there's a certain, you know, bounce to it. And especially with the song Rush Hour and Night Lover, you know, these songs are such just a great. They're also wonderful melodically and rhythmically, and then they kind of take on their own. They just have their own shape. It's very it's interesting to hear how different, you know, that is from, say, the South Eldon concert that we heard earlier.
Very different, and sometimes the same songs.
That's right. We'd heard two versions of Jazz is the Teacher, Funk is the Preacher. And it's, you know, it's really striking. But he did that. But, you know, he actually did that, particularly with that song, and also Are You Glad to Be in America? You know, he did various versions. I mean, the tune is the tune, but he also did, you know, he did the kind of harmonic version, the rough trade version that people know.
Right.
But he did variations on it, and you know, I do remember him doing a kind of straight blues version of Are You Glad to Be in America? It's a beautiful lyrical tune, but you know, we haven't heard that yet. But yeah, this is a really, really super playful set, and it's actually really, really cool to hear it.
It's kind of reminiscent of all things of Bob Dylan, who's constantly recreating his own songs. And I kind of feel like Blood, these songs are forms. That
They're very malleable and very modular in their way, to steal a term from electronic music. The idea you can have different components and you can wire them differently and have just a very different expression. The same song can have a very different expression.
Yeah. Should we go back to the Stone?
Yeah, I think it's very cool. Let's hear some more of that.
You know this room? Have you played?
Yeah,
there?
I played there. You know, this is funny, playing the Stone. This is early on. You know, Living Colour played the Stone, and that's when literally when I met Carlos Santana. I remember I was standing on stage, and one of the band's managers was like pointing, and I just was really Jim Grant was pointing, and I was like, man, this dude is just getting on my nerves. He's just getting on my nerves. And I finally just looked, and there's Carlos Santana standing. I was pretty. The look on my face must have been pretty aghast, you know. Yeah.
A great hero of yours?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I picked up the guitar because hearing his version of the Peter Green song from Fleetwood Mac, you know, Black Magic Woman, and Gypsy Queen, which is Good Boy is a Bow. You know, he kind of took the two of those and made a classic. And you know, that was a sound that made me think of guitar separate from, and made me think of it as something, an instrument that sings, not in the way of a horn, but just his approach. You know, he's very much the impetus for me to hear the guitar in a different kind of way, and for me to pick it up. But really, not really. I never really got the imitation thing, and this is something that's so striking with Blood. You know, one of the things I could relate to him and Pete Cozy and Sonny Chirac, you know, they didn't play like other dudes. They didn't play like other dudes. You know, that first thing is like the closest thing, you know, in his approach. I was, oh, this is, without imitating it, but his energy reminded me a bit of Hendrix's, but he's very different, you know, very, very different. But the thing I always that's so remarkable for all these incredible masters of their various idioms, is that they have their own voices. They have their own voices. So the thing about influence is, like, people always think influence means imitation, and that's not really it. That's not really it. I mean, like, it seems to me, and of course the question is, well, how do you even find your way? So people imitate, or I always say, I could copy, but play something close to it, that has the same effect, that fits in the same way, with whatever, the chords or whatever is going on, the vibes. But, to me, and this is why he's very much in line with all the other many great players who had an effect on me. Blood is his own person. Blood really was doing his own thing and really was not, a lot of guitar players are really concerned about what people think, and he, again, of course, like any human being, he was, but he really not so much. He wasn't so concerned he was going to change what he was doing. He wasn't going to pander to a certain sort of, idea of what he should do. He just did his thing, and Sonny Chirac the same way, of course, differently, but all the greats, that it's all about you coming with a voice, however that is, if it's really popular like Van Halen, or somewhat, just very different. You're not going to be, you would think, I say Van Halen and James Blood Ulmer in the same thing, they had nothing to do to each other except for the fact they both play guitar. But that's the whole point, That's the point, is that they do their thing, and that's no slag on people that bring forth the voices of others in their sound. Because, I mean, who's to say? I mean, if that voice is really calling you, then, that's the thing. Because you think about Stevie Ray Vaughan, you hear Albert King all throughout his playing. But the beautiful thing about Stevie Ray Vaughan is the Hendrix influence is right there, and Albert King is right there. But the thing that comes up most is Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, so even with influence, his voice is the most prominent, and that's the key to it. That's the key to it. That's what makes, Fripp, really, Fripp and Blood and Sonny Chirac and Alan Holdsworth and all these different people, all these different, you mentioned Bob Dylan, and what he's been doing, deconstructing the songs, and Julian Lange, a great, great up and come. I mean, he's been around for a while, but Julian Lange, is he because I saw him, with Joe Lovano, with Will Calhoun playing with Joe Lovano, and it was astonishing. He plays, really. I mean, he plays extraordinarily technically, but he also has such a vibrant feel, and of course, it was going to, interestingly, it got somehow, Dylan heard him. Now he's currently out with Bob Dylan, and they're doing this. I haven't really heard it, but he's doing all these unusual things, like they're doing these kind of reconstructions of Dylan's tunes. It's very interesting. I want to hear what that is, but that's the thing. Blood did that with his own music. He'd take his music and wouldn't get stuck on just doing the same version. He'd have like 3 and 4 different versions of these tunes. Even whilst playing the heads the same, he would change things up. He changed things up like Miles. Miles would change things up. Mm-hmm. And Blood, and Ornette, that's also in that tradition. He'd change it up. Yeah. And he was so, he's so. I mean, another thing to our players and people that give you, like when somebody does something so profound, one thing that they do is that they give permission. That's why I say about the Beatles, the greatest thing about the Beatles, whatever you think about their music, the fact that they changed so radically. And so quickly. From Twist and Shout, like obviously the Isaac Brothers, huge influence on them. Y'all are confused. And this is supposed to be a James Blood Ulmer thing, but I'm talking about the Beatles. But the Beatles gave artists the permission to change, and that was something that that artists, from Hendrix to Sly and the Family Stone took advantage of, like, to go from Twist and Shout to, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, That's the end. I mean, it's out. It was unheard of, and that thing, I'm going to take my music. And Miles, again, that's almost like an inspiration from jazz. Miles turned things upside down, turned his own thing upside down. Coltrane turned it upside down. And subsequently, Ornette, thinking about, Dolphy's version of, God Bless the Child. I mean, it's like, it's one of the most radical approaches to arpeggiate that melody. And you have to really, pay attention, and then you hear it, you know what I mean? And you'll never hear God Bless the Child the same way ever again. And to think about the effect that these players had on Blood, to hear these things and the effect that they, had on him. And, he carved his own way. He was around, he came into the scrimmage, George was around, Pat Martino was around, Wes Montgomery, and he made his own, he made his own Grant Green, the great Grant Green. And out of all of that, because, he started out in organ trios, and he forged his own thing, and he, again, listening to this thing of Stone, that tuning came out of a dream, and that's kind of what makes it, just such a, just an important, and a lot of people don't get it, because they want to hear lines, they want to hear scales, and they want to hear those things, and he just had a different way. And he created his own context, and he filled his context, and that's the beautiful thing. Then that's the, you go online, man, it's incredible what many, what players are doing these days. And, hopefully some young kid is going to hear Blood and go sideways with it in his own way, in her own way. It's just like thinking about Sister Rosetta Tharpe. We only last 20 years. Gave her flowers for blowing the guitar up, Anyway, blah, 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 woof, 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 as Jimmy constantly said. Let's move on.
The show's called Deep Focus. I am your host, Mitch Goldman. Vernon Reid is our guest. Vernon has selected James Blood Ulmer as our topic, and told us a little bit earlier that there's going to be a gathering at...
Yes, we at St. Peter's Church on September the 29th. There will be a gathering of many artists who worked with Blood, and all of whom love him. And we're all going to do our various things, to uplift, the idea that we were blessed to have him for as long as we did.
We are, we do on this show, we play live unreleased recordings of whatever topic the guest chooses, and we are in San Francisco at the Stone. It's January 1981, and the band is Amin Ali on bass, Calvin Weston on the drums, and it's WKCR.
Thank you. Do we have more vocal in the monitor? Thank you. What happened? it's you I live by. Where did all the girls come from? I only have enough money for one. All the girls they wanna be pleased, oh. But all I know that love will take you away. All I know that love will take you away, oh.
WKCR FM New York, WKCR-HD, WKCR.org.
Now we will play a song called High Time. It's high time to take you home. Thank you. Thank you. Bring all the girls sometime. And we'd like to do a song called Happy Time, Happy Time, Happy Time, Happy Time.
What do you think, Vernon? We're going to...
Well, he took them people to another dimension, and they're trying to deal with it. It's kind of like something so unexpected, something so
what, Vernon? Something so what? Finish that sentence. Okay, you're going to have to come back for part 3 to hear the rest of what Vernon had to say right there, and it's well worth it. I hope you agree. You made it this far. That was part 2 of this program from July 6th, 2026. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'll say it again. If this is striking you, you're going to want to go a little deeper. Vernon Reid and I did a deep focus on James Blood Ulmer just last September 2025, when Blood was still among us and played completely different music and maybe a little different perspective, including Vernon goes deep into how Blood played a role in Vernon becoming the musician that he is and the person that he is, and well worth it. But so that was part 2 of 3. Come back for part 3 of this one from July 6, 2026, and then go back to September 29th, 2025 for parts 1, 2, and 3. Total of 6 hours spread across 2 programs. Vernon Reid on the topic of James Blood Ulmer. If you're hearing this before September 29th, wow, I just realized that's exactly a year to the day after that podcast program that we did in 2025. A year later, we will be remembering Blood at St. Peter's Church. So please join us there. I'm definitely planning to be there. And make some James Blood Ulmer part of your music collection, whatever form that might take. Make some Vernon Reid music part of your collection. Both of them, each of them has a wide variety of recordings together and separately. They work together as well. There's so much there to discover. All of it's so worth it. Okay, it's Deep Focus. Tell somebody about Deep Focus, won't you? Either do it the old-fashioned way, let someone you know, or please do share this or give us 5 stars or a review or something. Just it's all we ask in return. We don't play any commercials or anything for you or sponsors or ads or anything. And if you want to put a little something in the pot, go right ahead. Please do. Man, we would love that. It's you just need the email address. Go to PayPal, and it's deepfocusnow@gmail.com. Deepfocusnow@gmail.com. Okay, I'll see you over at part 3.